His Excellency, Mr. Jonathan Drew, British High Commissioner, and Excellencies of the diplomatic missions in Mauritius, members of the the British delegation, the chairman and members of the board of the FSBA, the CEO of FSBA, Mr. Havish Sigulam, senior chief executives, chief of staff, permanent secretaries and of the PMO and the public sector, representatives of the international and regional organizations in Mauritius, chairpersons, CEOs, and the managing directors of the private sector, chief editors and editors of the print and online media, radio and television, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Very good evening to all, and our heartfelt gratitude to you for having chosen to join in the celebration of the Mauritius International Financial Center of Excellence. We are delighted to greet you in this wonderful setting to celebrate this launch, which should set Mauritius on the constellation of financial centers of repute around the globe. Not only will tonight's event mark an indelible milestone for the financial services sector, but its very existence will foster partnerships, investments, and create new platforms from which young Mauritians will be able to specialize in their financial fields of choice, be it banking, investments, accounting, and law. This is why it was the objective of the Minister to make of this determining moment one of joy and celebration, and also one that would mark the newly tied friendship with the Right Honourable the Lord Mayor of the City of London, Alderman the Lord Mount-Evans, and his delegation. On such a journey, one would need, I suspect, all the friends we can get. To kick off this evening, I would like to introduce the one who will be heading the FSBA, the parent agency whose mission is to promote the IFC around the globe. He is already a seasoned promoter of our island, having spent the last years where he was Director of Innovation, Technology and Services, Cluster, being the investment promotion agency of Mauritius. He also held a portfolio of the Global Outreach Cluster and was responsible for attracting global players to invest across various segments of the services sectors in Mauritius, with a special focus on ICT, outsourcing, film making, biotechnology, and other professional services sectors, as well as the use of Mauritius as a platform for investing and trading with Africa. He has successfully advised a number of global players on setting up operations in Mauritius in the fields of banking, private equity, investment funds, legal advisors and services, and wealth management, manufacturing and ICT, amongst others. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Mr. Havish Sigulam.
The Right Honourable Lord Mayor of the City of London, Honourable Roshi Badin, Minister of Financial Services, Good Governance, Institutional Reforms, Technology, Communication and Innovation, Vice Prime Minister and Minister of Land and Housing of Mauritius, Honourable Ministers, distinguished guests, Heads of Diplomatic Corps, ladies and gentlemen. Allow me at the very outset to express a very warm welcome to all of you on behalf of the Chairman of the Financial Services Promotion Agency, as well as on all our board directors, many of whom are actually present with us here tonight. It does give me tremendous pleasure to welcome you all tonight as we set on this marvelous journey of really promoting Mauritius in a very aggressive manner as an international financial center of repute and excellence. Over the last few months, we have had very positive working sessions with many of you here around this room tonight. And I am very certain and I'm looking forward to creating more synergies going forward. I cannot not mention the support we've been receiving from the Lord Mayor's office as well. And this is certainly the kind of collaboration that I personally am looking forward to develop as the Chief Executive of the Financial Services Promotion Agency. I will not be too long tonight, as I'm sure we will have plenty of opportunities to extend and exchange a number of views going forward. But I would like to really thank my excellent team. We're still a very small team, I would say. We're still 12 of us in the FSPA. We're still building the team. But they've done a tremendous job in putting this entire event together. And I would be relying a lot on their support going forward. Thank you so much for your presence here tonight. Thank you.
Good governance and institutional reforms, and Mrs. Badin, Honourable Ministers of the National Assembly, His Excellency Mr. Jonathan Drew, British High Commissioner, and Excellencies of the diplomatic missions in Mauritius, the Chairman and members of the Board of the FSPA, Mr. Havesh Segulam, CEO of the FSPA, Senior Chief Executives, Chiefs of Staff, Permanent Secretaries of the PMO and Public Sector, representatives of the international and regional organizations in Mauritius, chairpersons, CEOs and managing directors of the private sector, members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you everybody for welcoming me here for my final engagement of what has been a tremendously productive visit. I really have been bowled over by your hospitality and by the access you have granted me throughout my trip. I even got the chance to talk about my favorite subject, maritime, at a special breakfast meeting this morning. It's a miracle to me that I stopped talking soon enough to be here now. I would like to begin by thanking everybody who has worked so hard to make this trip a success. The Financial Services Minister and the Financial Services Promotion Authority, who have allowed me to meet all the right people, Barclays Bank, HSBC and Standard Chartered for their sponsorship of the visit, the Port, of course, for arranging a site visit and allowing me to gaze on what is a magnificent facility, the UK High Commissioner, Jonathan Drew, who has worn out his BlackBerry with all the late-night planning emails, and his superb team and the High Commission and UKTI. And finally, everybody I met or spoke with over the past few days, including all of you. It's been a magnificent visit in many ways, and I'm not going to detain you too long, but visits to a number of ministries, particularly to meet with the President was a great pleasure, to visit the port, to see something of the ambition and the spirit with which your quest for the highest standards are being embraced has really been very, very encouraging to me and an inspiration. So, with all these wonderful meetings, what have I learned? Perhaps the most interesting thing has been the openness of Mauritius, its government and its people, to new and ambitious ideas. From the ocean economy plans to new regulation on financial good governance, and from fintech to insurance, I have been stunned by the ambition on show. It's been obvious in every single engagement and every single question posed to me. And because that ambition is so obvious, one of the themes that has shined the brightest has been education, training and qualifications, or ETQ as we call it in London. After all, to push an economy on to the next level, you need a talented, well-trained and well-motivated workforce. The business delegation and I are keen to help wherever we can, but the UK's offer of support is not just limited to us. Back home, there is a huge range of education providers, big and small, with international reach and held in the highest esteem. They set the gold standard globally. The ICAEW, the Institute of Chartered Accountants of England and Wales, has 143 members across the world. The Association of Chartered Certified Accountants has 154,000 members and 432,000 students in over 170 countries. And the Chartered Institute for Securities Investment has 40,000 members and a rapidly growing international reputation. I'm absolutely delighted that Mauritius is already exploring new ways to use the Chartered Institute of Securities and Investments services. Only yesterday, I was at the Hennessy Park Hotel to help launch CISI's new National Advisory Committee, which will be a huge asset as the local financial and professional services sector expands. Alongside CISI, I know that ICAEW, the accountants, Fitch Learning, IFS University College, and now also the Institute and Faculty of Actuaries all provide professional qualifications here. Each of these organizations brings their own unique mixture of expertise, and all of them will have a positive impact, as will the establishment of the Financial Services Training Institute, for which I commend the Financial Services Ministry in the heartiest possible terms. But this is only one of many steps that Mauritius is taking to strengthen its financial services. After the CISI event yesterday, I travelled to Westminster House for a discussion on financial good governance. And I was so uplifted by the determination that I heard around the room. I am in no doubt that both government and business in Mauritius wants to get things right and build capacity within the context of strong regulation, constant best practice, and a transparent tax structure. The UK is at your service with any and all of this vital work. Because, as I have said throughout my time here, your success is our success, and our success is your success. If we manage to increase the size of the global financial and professional services sector, then we will all get a bigger slice of cake. This is particularly true with the global financial crisis still fresh in the memory. Regardless of how well we were insulated or how much we were affected, we can now see that the aftershocks are still going on. From oil prices to the Swiss franc, we must always be alert to the challenges faced by financial and professional services. For example, there's no real need to develop the next generation of properly funded infrastructure. I beg your pardon. For example, there is a real need to develop the next generation of properly funded infrastructure. McKinsey and the World Bank both estimate that the infrastructure investment gap is about $1 trillion a year from now until 2030. If we fail to plug that gap, then we will have failed to properly invest in sustainable prosperity and resilient economies. As with all the topics I've spoken about this evening, the best way to take action is through global cooperation, looking outwards, not retreating, taking a positive, optimistic attitude and working with trusted partners for mutual gain. The UK is one of those trusted partners. Through public-private partnerships and other models, we can help you unchain funding for your ambitious infrastructure plans in ports and elsewhere. The UK is seen as the home of PPP, and we remain the most adept and experienced practitioners. British firms are always ready to discuss the possibilities with you and explain how PPP can fast-forward economic development across the economy of Mauritius. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. I have only a few hours left in your beautiful country before I board a plane and fly back to Heathrow. Thank you again for your astonishing hospitality. And in return, I would like to extend the hand of friendship one final time. I have heard about your successes. There are many, and they are continuing. Plans for your financial sector, plans for your professional development, plans for your infrastructure. These are the things that future-proof economies for generations. And I would be honored to know that British companies have accompanied you on those journeys, sharing our expertise and contributing to your future prosperity. Thank you.
Mayor of the City of London, Geoffrey Evans, Honorable Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Land and Housing, Shaukat Ali Sudan, my colleague ministers, Excellencies of the Diplomatic Corps, industry leaders, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, it is an honor to have the Right Honorable Lord Mayor of London amidst us today. It was only a few weeks back, I think 3 weeks, when we met in London and we had discussions about various issues in terms of how we could develop the financial services sector in Mauritius. And I'm so glad that in such a short space of time, we have the Right Honourable Lord Mayor amongst us to actually finalize what we started discussing 3 weeks ago. Normally people say I move quick. On this one we'll share the burden, Right Honourable Lord Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, in December 2014, this government was elected. And the mandate that we had from the people was to do basically two things. One was to clean up the country, and secondly, to grow the economy. And the Right Honourable Prime Minister decided to create this Ministry for Financial Services, Good Governance and Institutional Reforms. So the whole concept of financial services was linked with good governance and of course reforms. And when we started, because we never had a Ministry for Financial Services until good governance and reforms before, we started from scratch. And that was 14 months ago. It took us about 2 months to basically get everything going, to recruit the staff, to buy the furniture, to get a proper place to operate. And everything we've done in 1 year. And when we started, we said, okay, we know what the mission is, but now we have to clearly formulate, design our vision. And that vision was a very clear one. We decided that on the financial services side, we need to make Mauritius a clean, transparent platform to attract investors so that we can ideally fulfill the role that we want to fulfill, which is that gateway for Africa. Now, in doing that, of course, we had to look at the institutions which falls under our portfolio. And we very quickly realized that we had to enhance the work of the Financial Services Commission to be a robust regulator and which could deal with any situation where resiliency was required. So we've done that. We made structural changes in the FSC, and it is now operating as that regulator that we wanted to have. Secondly, we needed to have an agency which was going to go and tell the whole world what we are doing and how good we are at what we are doing. So we decided to revive the Financial Services Promotion Agency, which had been there before, but for some reason had stopped its operations and was linked with the Board of Investment. But now we have a very performing financial services promotion agency, and we have Harvesh to thank him and his team for that. We also decided that there was a gap in terms of what young professionals in Mauritius have studied, their qualifications, the experience they have, compared to the type of businesses that we want to bring to Mauritius and the investors that we want to have down here and their expectations. And in terms of employability, we needed to have the right resources. So we decided to set up a Financial Services Institute, which was going to look at capacity building and train those young professionals so that they are ready to be employed, especially when it comes to sophisticated offerings and the new type of businesses that we want to bring in. So these changes were very quickly made with those institutions so that we could have the right framework to get things going. Then we were hit by one case, a huge fraud case in Mauritius, which was in the insurance sector, and we had to deal with that case. That took us somehow off track for a period of at least 2 to 3 months. And I'm very proud to say that this has been handled to the satisfaction of all those policyholders and we are now looking to come up with a solution so that all of them can be repaid before June this year. And with the grace of the Almighty, we shall succeed on that too. We also decided to look at pertaining issues regarding the operations of the financial services sector in Mauritius. And there we had a problem, because a lot of international organizations had decided to put Mauritius on a certain type of list. Some call it a blacklist, others call it a list which is not white. And the reason why I say that is because the European Union in December last year decided to include Mauritius on a list which was compiled by them and put on a website, and it was a list of apparently harmful tax jurisdictions. And the methodology that we had used to compile that list was based on whether your name appeared on blacklist of 10 countries which are member states of the European Union. And we had to very quickly go and address this issue, so we talked to the representatives in Italy and they decided to take us off that list. Poland decided to do the same. On an official visit to Estonia, I had a chat with them and I said, look, we haven't been dealing a lot with Estonia, so can you please tell us why you've included us on a blacklist? And they told me that we don't have a blacklist, we only have a whitelist. So the EU has construed that if you are not on the whitelist, then surely you must be on some kind of blacklist. So Estonia decided to remove us as well, and other countries at the political dialogue, the 4th EU summit, which was held in Mauritius, the Spanish ambassador and also the Portuguese ambassador committed to have Mauritius removed from that list as well. But in any case, the question we ask ourselves is, why do we need to be on such lists at all? What is it that we are doing wrong that people should decide to include us on such lists? And we again realized that the sector had been, of course, growing over the last 10-15 years, the global business sector that is, on the basis that we have certain tax treaties with certain countries. And the growth of the industry has been predicated on that. Now, the vision of the government is not for Mauritius to be a tax-centric jurisdiction. The vision of this government is for Mauritius to be a country where you have investors who are coming, real, tangible investments, visible, of substance, which is basically creating jobs for young Mauritians. And at the end of the day, being a platform which is transparent for everybody to see. So we went to South Africa to finalize a double tax treaty which had remained in the drawer for some years. And then we proceeded to India to sort out a situation which had not been sorted out for the last 10 years. When we came back, we explained to the operators in the sector that, look guys, there are certain international events which we are not responsible for and we cannot control. We need to find a solution with regard to the DTA with India and move forward to implement the new vision of this government, which is to get all the regional headquartering over here and attract investors for the right reason. Some were listening, some were not. Some were listening, but they were not hearing. And even though we had told everybody in June last year that BEPS was going to come into play, base erosion, profit shifting, the G20 was going to meet, we mentioned that the Indian authorities had already told us that GAR, General Anti-Avoidance Rules, was going to become a reality as from 1st of April 2017. Unfortunately, nobody wanted change. They were reluctant to change. Only yesterday, it has been announced that GAR will be a reality on 1st April 2017. And we know that BEPS final report is also going to be implemented. So, we were again right in terms of going down the route that we had set to go down, which is the new vision to create this platform of substance, get investors to come to Mauritius, set up their base for Africa over here. And there's quite a number of things that we've already decided, we've already done in this respect. Last December, I took to Parliament the captive insurance bill. And captive insurance is one of the areas which we talked about when we were in the UK as well. And we met a number of companies, Marsh, Aon, Elders Partners, and we are all very keen to come down to Mauritius to further their activities in this sector. Companies like Palm Captives, I announced it in Parliament, I can now say, but they are already in Mauritius and they are already starting their operations. In terms of regional headquarters, we've had so many companies, all mutual from the UK, which has already started operations over here. We then decided that we needed to look at the stock exchange, and we've had so many interactions with my good friend, Mr. Benny Madhu, the CEO of the stock exchange, and we linked up the National Stock Exchange of India with the Stock Exchange of Mauritius to do quite a number of things. One of which was to set up a derivatives market in Mauritius, where African currencies can be hedged against the US dollar on a platform in Mauritius. We also went to Dubai to see whether it was possible for us to set up a commodities exchange in Mauritius. And I can also say that this is something which is going to happen this year. We've already signed an MOU with them. They are assisting us in developing the commodities exchange in Mauritius. We've identified the land, which is in Roosevelt. The building is nearly ready. And linked with that, we will also have vaulting activities. And we are planning to declare this whole area a free zone. Now, whilst I was in the UK, we had the opportunity to meet quite a number of global law firms, their CEOs, and also the chairperson. And I asked them, I said, look, you tell me, what do you need for us to do so that you could come and set up your regional headquarters for Africa in Mauritius? And one of the things that they told us was, the Law Practitioners Act in Mauritius needs to be relooked at because we are not willing to go into joint ventures with chambers of barristers or local law firms. They say that the litigation type of work could be kept separate. What we are interested in is global legal advisory services. So we decided to look into it, and I'm again pleased to announce that the FSC is going to take that forward. We are going to bring the legislative changes as soon as Parliament resumes at the end of this month, so that global law firms can come and set up in Mauritius and provide global legal advisory services to their clients, which we are also going to bring to Mauritius. Harvesh has been very active to go to South Africa and see whether we could look into the wealth management aspect of developing the financial services sector. And again, it has been very successful because we've had a number of wealthy families from South Africa who have decided to come to Mauritius and set up their family office in Mauritius. And the FSC is launching something new, which is an OFC, the Overseas Family Corporation license, which is going to be granted to these people, and we have a minimum amount that they should invest in Mauritius. And they will also have a number of incentives which are going to go with that. These are all things that we are doing to basically go and attain that vision. That vision of substance, transparent, visible business, which is going to take place in Mauritius and which really is going to create jobs for our young professionals coming through. The other thing I should say is when I look at how the global business sector has been developing in Mauritius for a period of time, I do feel that it has in fact prevented young professionals to move up the value chain, to attain a certain level of sophistication in terms of the product offerings which were there. So for 10-15 years we've had a lot of people who have been educated in British universities, in France, in Australia, in Canada, who have come back to Mauritius and started working. And the type of work that we have been doing has stifled their development as professionals. And we want to give people now the chance to be able to go and be the best at what they do and bring those companies which are going to offer this type of sophisticated services in Mauritius so that young Mauritians who basically work with those firms, whether they are global law firms or insurance companies, family offices which have been set up under the wealth management scheme. They will have an opportunity to basically rival anybody else in any other jurisdiction which competes with Mauritius. And I think for the development of the country, this is something which is very important. So, ladies and gentlemen, the vision is there. We are implementing it. Creating an identity was important. And this is why we decided that we needed to launch Mauritius as an IFC, an international financial center of repute, which everybody would look at and basically want to come to do good business. The whole concept of good governance being linked into that is not new. Jurisdictions like Singapore have done that, Dubai has done it, and at the event yesterday, I referred to a book which I had come across, Thatcher's Trial, where Lady Margaret Thatcher actually explained how the City of London had developed into the world's best international financial center. And I quote from that book, from Kwasi Kwarteng. Earlier in her premiership in 1980, Thatcher had already publicly expressed her conviction that the City of London's success owed much to the moral qualities of Englishmen. At a dinner marking her 21 years as MP for Finchley, held at Intercontinental Hotel by Hyde Park, on 18th October, she had decried the lack of will of successive governments to tell the people the truth about their situation. This has sapped the British will to work and their traditional pride in a job well done. More specifically, the City of London became the world's great financial centre more because of its reputation for honesty rather than any geographical or political reasons. In short, in Thatcher's moral nationalism, for want of a better phrase, Englishmen were famous for their hard work, thrift, reliability, honesty, initiative, intellectual curiosity, philosophical and scientific preeminence. Furthermore, the British Prime Minister asserted, moral qualities were the secret of our economic success. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the type of success that we want to bring to this island. And this is the type of success that we will bring to this island. I thank you very much for having listened to me.